Hi, I'm Jason Pearson. I'm a personal trainer. Today I want to talk about handling gear properly. I think a lot of preventable injuries happen because of people not taking care of their gear or not handling it properly. I always say you got to treat it with respect. Even a light weight can hurt you if you aren't careful with it. I know personally I've injured my wrist picking up a weight. I wasn't doing an exercise with the weight. I was prepping to do an exercise with the weight by picking it up. But I picked it up improperly and put too much stress on my wrist, and it, kind of tore a ligament in there or something. It took me, a couple months to recover from that. If you go on YouTube, you'll see hundreds, thousands probably of videos of gym fails, of people injuring themselves in the gym. One of my bigger pet peeves is when I see videos of people lifting with a barbell and they don't have the weight stoppers on there, on the ends, and the weights slide off, and then they, causes an accident. That's just basic stuff. I mean, especially if you're lifting by yourself, you should always use those if you're lifting by yourself. Because when you're lifting by yourself, things can go wrong. That is one that's the simplest thing to deal with. Oh yeah, but then I got to take them off to put more weight on. Better to do that than to get hurt. It's just a basic thing. There are safety precautions always put in place with gear. Just use them. Something very basic I like to cover is how to pick up weights. I always tell my clients, treat any weight, no matter the size of it or the weight of it, as if it's the heaviest weight you've ever seen. Come at it with intention, and that's a big thing, intentionality about how you pick it up. Don't just reach down and grab something. Make sure that you're doing it with proper form. Yeah, so even a lightweight like this can injure you if you're not careful with it. You can throw your back out simply by picking up a weight wrong. This weight for me is not very heavy, but always want to approach it as if it is when you pick it up. So this weight, I have to be very careful with. This one is about my maximum that I can put over my head right now. So it's a 45 pound. That's heavy. I mean, even if it wasn't my maximum, anybody could hurt themselves with a 45 pound weight if they pick it up wrong. They throw out a muscle, pull something, pull your back. So you have to be very careful with weights. Something else that's important about weights like this is you always want to check them. Make sure that they haven't degraded over time or something. You don't want to be pushing this weight up and one of these fall off on you. Different manufacturers have different standards, and you have to make sure that the weight is actually going to hold up to what it's supposed to do. Now, I use bands. People use bands for all sorts of things. These are great. In general, these things last forever. These bands, I know sets of these that have been going for 20 years, and they're fine. But then I also know some that were only 5 years, and they snapped. So you always want to check them. Make sure that they're not frayed at all. Make sure that they're fine. Like, these are discolored and kind of old because I keep them outside. So I have to be extra careful to make sure they haven't molded or anything, because those are some of the funnier videos, is the bands snapping and hitting people. Another thing with bands is when you're attaching them to something, make sure you attach them properly. A band or even a TRX kind of strap system, when you attach it to a door, make sure the door opens outward, not towards you, because your weight on a band or a TRX can actually pull a door open. I've seen that happen where someone has done that and fallen backwards. Another thing with TRX systems is you have to make sure that they're attached properly to the wall if you're going to use some sort of mounting system. Just go ahead and buy the official mounting system for a TRX. I tried just a hook that we had, and I'll show this video clip. This is me falling. I mean, I kind of expected to fall, so it wasn't that bad. I also know how to fall, but it doesn't matter if you know or not. You can still hurt yourself falling. So being really careful about putting those up. And again, with TRX systems or strap systems, test them. Make sure they have not degraded over time. There's not mold on them or something that will make them not particularly strong and might make them snap. When you're doing box jumps or step ups, make sure your whole foot is on there so you don't stress your Achilles. Another big thing with boxes and for boxes and box jumps is make sure that they're not going to move when you land on them. If they hit and they slide, that can be dangerous. Or step-ups, too. You don't want the thing you're stepping onto to slide away from you. So, again, there's a lot of things you can do to prevent injury. Just take the time before you start working out to just double-check everything. I think that's the big thing. We just want to get in there and work, and I know putting weights on a barbell is a pain in the butt. Like, sometimes that's worse than the actual lift you're doing. You know, if you have to get a lot of weight on there, you have to lift it up, you have to put it on, and you have to be really careful when you're doing that not to pull something. And then if you want to change the weight, you got to go back and do it, and it takes forever. And who wants to put the little slide on there to keep it safe? Take your time. Be very mindful about what you're doing, and that can save injury from happening. Especially if you're at a gym. If you go into a gym, check everything. You don't know what's happened since the last time you were there. You don't know how well the employees there are keeping up with the gear. Check everything. If you're on a machine and it makes a weird noise, go tell somebody and stop using it. You know, you can't always trust the things at a gym to be taken care of. Your home gym, you can probably be a little more relaxed, but I still like to check everything because injuries are just no fun. As you saw in my last video, you don't want to be injured, and a preventable injury in particular is a bummer. And another thing, just check your surroundings. That's another thing. Just make sure, especially in a gym, but even, you know, I'm out here, I work out a lot in this space. I've got 2 dogs that run around like maniacs. I have to be careful of them. I also have to make sure that the ground doesn't have like an acorn or something on it that I'm going to step on and twist my ankle. When you're at the gym, make sure there's nobody around doing something silly that might interfere with what you're doing. Again, those videos, you see people just walking into each other with weights, or one person doesn't realize, you know, has headphones on and doesn't realize someone's behind them, and they throw the weight down and hit them in the foot or something. Just be careful with all the gear, be careful with your surroundings, and as always, stay healthy.